Thanks so much for staying with Sunrise, live on E20 minutes after 6 it is now. Now, non-profit organizations perform a vital function in ensuring that the Department of Social Development is able to fulfill its mandate. Now, without these, many families and individuals would be without financial and emotional support. And every year, the Department of Social Development spends 18 million rand towards NPOs or non-profit organizations. But funding and lack of communication has been identified as problems that are leading to the imminent collapse of this sector. The department recently hosted a program to open the lines of communication and to devise solutions for the funding crisis. Honorable Minister Bathabile Dlamini is in studio to talk about the outcomes of the program, along with the CEO of a successful non-profit organization, Life College, Pat Pillay, a renowned television radio personality and our colleague here at ETV. And we also have the MD of Mveledzo Community Organization, which is a struggling NPO from Alexandra. We have Mabel Dikobe to talk about their challenges. The numbers to dial 011-537-9333 or 9345. Send your messages on Twitter and Facebook. Thanks indeed for all three of you for joining us this morning. I mean, there's a lot of goodwill, Pat, in communities. We see informal hospices or informal nurseries, etc., that communities have. But to start an NPO goes beyond just the compassion or you know, empathy that you have for your community. What compelled you to start Life College?
Well, my first degree was an education degree, and I qualified as a teacher, and felt that maybe what was required wasn't just the classic academic subjects, but also something that spoke to the attitude and the mindset and the consciousness that young people bring to themselves, their lives, and their education. That was 25 years ago. And then it was reinvigorated 15 years ago when Life College Group was sort of relaunched. And the inspiration, you're right, doesn't come from wanting to build massive organizations. It starts from wanting to make a difference right there with a group of people in a community. It's often the seed of something. And then in search of sustainability to benefit more people, you develop groups of people and strategies to sustain yourself.
Yeah. Mabel, give us a sense of your circumstances in Alexandra running your organization.
Yeah, thank you so much. The organization was established in 2005 by compassionate, you know, selfless people from Alexandra community members. Our main objective was to clean Alexandra. But while we were cleaning, you know, without funds, you know, community came out with their brooms and everything because we wanted to eradicate the rats that have infested Alexandra. Then came a need from the community to look after the kids who are child-headed, who are needy, who are staying with abusive guardians and so forth. So we could say no because that was not mainly our focus, but we handled that program so well that, you know, the shopping malls around us came with assistance and so forth. As we speak now, we have 126 kids that we are looking after, who come out every day after school to come and have their last, some of them is their last meal of the day that they can ever have. Sometimes they don't even, you know, eat food because we sometimes run out of food when they come, because they come in numbers, you know, the number fluctuates. But there would come an instance where you find that the last child, when she comes into the shelter, there's no food at all. We have to see to it that she gets a plate of food for that particular day.
Of course, all these challenges, Minister, would then come into your inbox. You'd have a barrage of needs, and then the resources as an issue as well. But is there a decay in communication between NPOs or NGOs and your department? Are you reaching each other?
Not really. That is why we are trying this month and next month to meet with the NGOs, NPOs, and CPOs. Because one, we think that NPOs should be moving out to where communities are, because the actual work happens in communities. But you will find out that CPOs collapse because of the lack of education. And so we are looking at some of the issues or some of the ways of strengthening our communication, but also ensuring that the little money we have
Minister, I
goes
hate
to
to interrupt you. I'm
communities.
told that your mic is faulty, so we can't pick up a clear audio on you. Maybe we'll just pick up with Pat so long while the technical team works on your mic. The distinction between the NPO and NGO, what does it mean, all of it?
Look, in terms of the classic legal definitions of how these things work, I'm not an expert.
Yeah.
I mean, we describe ourselves largely as within the Life College group, and that's made up of Life College and Life Co Mindset Academy that distributes programs to universities around the country as well and other organizations. We describe ourselves as a social enterprise. And within our structure, the Life College group, we have the NPO structure, we have the Life College Trust, and we even have Life Co investments, which over time has meant that we can start to, as a broad-based empowerment partner, start to find a place for ourselves in the economy. And it doesn't mean that you cash flush and you have tons of money pouring in, but over time, you'll find your sustainability improves. So 5 to 7 years' time, those investments will start to bear fruit. So we approach it differently, and the legal team that works with us will help guide us in terms of what is best. Registered as an NPO, of course, largely we described as an NGO, often colloquially, but it does mean that we've got the different mechanisms so we can engage in different ways to continue to benefit the thousands of people we work with.
Okay, we'll talk about sustainability and how you attract investors as well, corporate governance and all the laws that impact on the survival of NGOs and NPOs. But you at home are most welcome to give us a call. Perhaps you running an informal organization where you're assisting your community, be it with the aid of government or other donors. Please let us know on 011-537-9333 or 9345. Back to you, Minister. The program that you are running 14 June in trying to find synergies, in trying to speak from one page and assisting the department.
One, we've had already 2 meetings, and the most clear issues that we've seen is that there's lack of transformation, and NPOs that have been getting money before 94 from the government are still getting money. And then the community-based organizations are collapsing because of lack of understanding of what small things that they have to do, accountability, keeping their books properly, and ensuring that almost 80% of their money goes to services. And it's things that we can correct. But also, some of the old NPOs are not transforming. They haven't ensured that their priorities are in line with the present administration.
All right, well, we'll talk about the expectations on both parties, but we have to take a quick ad break. We'll take the news with Mark Chase and continue our discussion. Do stay with us. You can send your inspirational stories to playyourpart.co.za and we'll share it with the rest of the country. We have a caller from Alexandra, Joe Public or Anonymous. Good morning to you and thanks for calling in. What's your contribution?
Morning, how are you?
Good, thank you.
I'm just having a question, and I'm going to concentrate to the minister. I just want to know what can we do if we are having this kind of situation. I'm working at an NGO that has been funded by the DST from 2009. It has been opened by the name of the orphans and the vulnerable ones, but there's no child that is benefiting there. And we are having an early childhood development center. It has been opened. It is not well equipped.
Okay, what is it called?
Pardon?
What is the organization called?
It is called Alexander Child Care and Support Center.
Okay, Child Care and Support Center. All right, and you're saying that there's some... Yeah, so there's some irregularities, discrepancies there that you'd like the minister to investigate, if I'm getting you right.
Yes, please. I was on the way to get into the minister's office. So thanks for this program for bringing her on us.
Okay.
So I just want her to monitor that place, of course. We've been told that our board members are having friends all over. Even though we can report them, there's nothing we can do. And I have tried several times.
All right,
I've tried to go to-
we'll give you the
so
minister's...
I just want to know, what can we do if things are in this way? Because they are benefiting. The staff are not benefiting, and also the kids too.
Okay, how do you deal with the loopholes in the structures?
Cindy, an issue was raised by the Auditor General last year that actually we pay 7 billion to the NGOs and NPOs. And he said to us, how do you ensure that this money does correct work? And that is why also we are having a dialogues this year, and we will have a summit in August. But what we are trying to do is to strengthen our monitoring and evaluation as social development, welfare services. 2, we want to have a dashboard of all our vendors. So that if people want to raise issues, they come straight to us and raise their issues. But also, if we say to NGOs report, we get proper reports, but we're not going to depend on written reports.
Okay. And I think maybe the organizations like Corruption Watch, you can go to the National Prosecutor or Public Protector rather. Ma'am Mabel, just the structures, we're talking about the advantages of having a well-run organization that is streamlined, that is compliant, and so forth, and keeping your books as well, where investors can see your track record and have the confidence that their money would be used effectively. So how difficult is it to deal with the legislation or regulation around having that kind of operation?
I don't think it is really difficult, as long as you have all your structures in place before you even start. You know what to do. You register, you have your board intact, you have an office where you operate from, you have a credible accountant, you have the skills, necessary skills that you need. I don't think, because that's where we started. When we started this NGO, we started in a boardroom at the Greater Alexandra Development Forum, where I was a member of. Where I knew exactly that when we take this route, what necessary steps we have to take. It's not really difficult, as long as you have your structures in place.
Yeah, but it does not mean that you'll automatically be a magnet for investment or for donor funding.
Not really. It is quite difficult to get donors, but as long as you have your structures in place, they have confidence in you, you are transparent, they will definitely come and play. But it is difficult, even though you know that you have your house in order, but getting them, it's quite difficult. You have to keep on trying to get funding, because community needs your help.
But Pat, you've circumvented that, I mean, with the years of experience of donor fatigue and ensuring that you have the investment arm or wing of it, so that you can sustain or maybe even cross-fund other projects that you're doing.
And that was a recent development in our history with the Life College Group. It's something that we learned to do over time. You know, when a group of teachers and people come together to make a difference, their focus is not necessarily let's build a broad-based investment entity. Their focus really is on community. So I hear exactly what you're saying, that the need is felt, there's a response. But if you don't have the governance structures in place first, not even the community will trust you. Trust is vitally important. Reputation is everything. Keep it absolutely clear and very focused. We have found, and it's been just the experience of one organization, that without a very clear focus, even the community gets confused about your role. And if the people we're benefiting in our communities can't speak highly of the organization providing benefit, that's the first problem. You'll have great difficulty convincing government, convincing Lotto, or convincing a fund manager at a big company to support your work.
The other question that came through is just the turnaround time when you apply for an NPO or an NGO for that matter, Minister. Why is it so cumbersome? Why is it taking so long?
That issue has also been raised about us taking a long time. I think we think the problem is that registration takes place at a national level. Though we have centers at a provincial level, they just collect applications and then they are sent to national level. The forms are many pages. We're not just supposed to have one page. Ask important questions. And then number 3, what we've been trying to look into is to coordinate or ensure that there is a coordination between welfare services, NGO section, and community development. Because, for instance, if you want to register an institution, you have to apply at a community development. Then you get your response, and then now you want to have an institution, you apply at welfare services. But before that is approved, you have to go to a local government.
So it's quite a tedious exercise.
Value chain.
I beg your pardon, I hate to interrupt you, Minister, but then how do you ensure that the language we speak for community-based organization is something that they can relate to? In other words, if it's all this jargon, high-end documents and all sorts of things, and people don't, all they want to do is to assist their fellow human being, and everything else just becomes convoluted.
That is why we are looking at the forms and also try to ensure that we have one-stop shop for applications of NGOs, institutions, and so that people don't move from pillar to post. But also there's just sometimes problems with us, where you find out that a person applies and then is told that no, we need this, and then that comes back and they will be told that no, we need this. One woman in Limpopo was applying at NDA, and then she was told to come with a memory stick. She comes from the rural areas, and she said, where am I going to use this memory stick? What is a memory stick anyway? So those are the things that we need to look into, tie them so that we can be accessible, and also have an understanding that the people that are working in NGOs and CPOs have passion of their work.
I want to talk about the protection of those as well. Anonymous saying that be it ill treatment or irregularities in her particular organization. So are they also governed and protected by the Labour Relations Act and I suppose the supreme law of the country? Can they go to a union, for argument's sake, and say, these are the things that are happening in my work environment?
Well, they can go, but most of the time, what I've seen is that people who work for NGOs have commitment, and even if there are problems in their environment, they don't address them in a labor relations way. They most of the time prefer to talk. Interaction for them is the most important part, but they do have rights like all other workers.
Yeah, and that they can exercise. Okay, we have about 2 minutes, Pat, just quickly to empower young people as well. We've been described, and maybe wrongfully so, as being a welfare state dependency, largely about 15 million of our people on that. How do we turn the tide? How do we encourage communities to fend for themselves?
There are many organizations that will have a response to that question, but I'll speak just for the Life College Group. We believe that poverty is systemic, but it's also a state of mind. In other words, there are systemic things that government and civil society as a whole and communities come together to fix, but the individual has to take on the responsibility of saying, I am investment worthy, in terms of having the attitude to engage, to bring my best self to the program, and a culture of entitlement will leave me and the state lacking. And if that beneficiary can bring forward a mindset and a consciousness of I am worthy of investment and I'm willing to play my part, and think critically about the way that they engage with our society and be an engaged citizen, the collective output's going to be even greater, and that dependency of 15 million over time will decrease.
Yeah. And Ma'am Mabel, what would you like to see in your community? Because as much as you're assisting, there's also a responsibility there. Do you expect for parents or other people to participate in your efforts?
I would urge our communities not to be too dependent, because at some stage we become a burden, whereas there are other avenues where we can assist ourselves. Just like when when we approach our communities, there are open spaces which we can convert into food gardens, which can feed our families rather than depending on somebody else. So I would urge our communities not to sit back and, you know, always be prepared to receive, but also our government have opened doors. There are so many opportunities that we can grab to assist the government in alleviating poverty and creating jobs as well.
Minister, I just want to touch on the database, the re-registration for social grants beneficiaries. How is that going? Have you cleaned it up? Have you gotten rid of the ghost beneficiaries and those that are abusing the system?
We'll be able to give you a report around September, because we started on the 1st of July, but it's going very well, and there is a really excitement even within the security cluster of the government, because there are areas that have been quite problematic, and we are trying to ensure that in those areas we all go there for the re-registration, so as to try and close the loopholes for those that have been robbing the system.
Yeah. So now on this platform, we often give people the hope, of course, that, look, there are opportunities, Ma'am Mabel was saying, and you just need to do something, be actively involved, participate, and ensure that you improve your circumstances. But once you walk away, you know, the information is either gone, be it that they don't have access to a website or internet, they don't have access to a telephone. Do you do groundwork as part of your CSI to go and knock on doors, especially in distressed areas, Pat?
Well, we ourselves are a not-for-profit entity. That's really what we are. And the kind of work that we would do is engage with people so that they are able to engage with their world in a manner that allows them to maximize what is available. Because if someone simply has access to time and is unemployed, we will have our young people say time is your asset and energy is your asset. Do something with that. If we depend on government for everything, we are going to become a nation of absolute dependence. So that kind of work we will do constantly, and of course people can contact us via our website, and that's www.lifecollege.org.za. And what we will then do is provide ways to support even NGOs and how do they think about themselves and become more sustainable. And we offer those services to organizations across the country so they themselves can build sustainability and so support their beneficiaries.
All right, we'll take a breather and take your calls just after this. We're talking about NPOs, NGOs, the relevance and its impact on communities and how to run one and make sure that it's sustainable. Thomas is calling us from Klerksdorp. Hello to you, Thomas, and what's your view?
Good morning.
Yebo. Yebo, we're listening, Thomas.
Yes, I've got a question for Pat Pile. I love what he's doing. I'm a teacher. I also want to know how I can get involved. I see a need around me, but I don't know how to get involved.
Okay, Thomas, have you started anything? Have you registered? Do you have a group of friends, or is this just an idea so far?
It's just an idea. I haven't registered anything.
All right, thanks. Do you have time on your hands?
I've got a pen on my hand, yes.
All right, thanks. Thanks, Thomas. Over to you, Pat.
Well, I think contact us via the website. There's a link through a contact us link. And if Thomas can do that, you know, we can start a conversation with him, because we always need good people who are values aligned, and also to find a way to support communities through a network of people. So he's welcome to contact us.
Okay. So you're saying you assist other NGOs that are struggling, Ma'am Mabel, by your own admission, saying that the finances are not looking too healthy. You need assistance because there's not a lot coming in, and yet you have to distribute and use all of your funding. So how then do you turn that around to make them look attractive to investors?
We've got a division within the Life College Group called Life Co-Mindset Academy. Remember, our focus always is how do we align the thinking towards a sustainable outcome, whether it be for a student we work directly with, whether it be students we work with at universities, or organizations, in this case NPOs as well, and work with the managements of those organizations to build a sustainable way of thinking, and then of course help them think through the strategy to make the organization more sustainable. Now, what you were talking about earlier on, the fact that you've got a little CC as well attached, and that you're running a kitchen and car wash services, is a fascinating way to build sustainability. The one thing is, it confuses people, Because is there private ownership in the CC? Well, that could create confusion because now government's going to be hesitant to grant.
Yes.
Individual organizations out there that make grant will be concerned. So we always guide organizations to make sure the structures are solid. Even within our group, Lifeco Investments is 100% owned by Life College Trust, which has one beneficiary, which is Life College, the not-for-profit.
Okay.
And if we can help people think through that structure and also empower people to act in a way to manage and lead in a sustainable way, we can make a small difference.
Yeah, there's always a pity, you know, with the live TV, we run out of time and we can't cover all the bases. But thanks indeed for your time, and I hope that you'll find each other with the new strategy in improving communications in the sector. But thanks indeed for your time. We're speaking to Honourable Minister of Social Development, Umambathabile Dlamini, and also the CEO of Life College, Mr. Pat Pillay, and the MD of Velenzo, a community organization, Mabel Dikobe, talking about challenges facing NBOs in the country. And here is a whole list of information or contact details that you can further discuss with our panelists with. You can go to the Department of Social Development, and theirs is dsd.gov.za, dsd.gov.za. And Life College, you can get hold of them on lifecollege.org.za. That's Life College, one word, .org.za. And you can call them on Johannesburg 023 3100, 023 3100. And in Velenzo, they are on 011 443 8041. 443 8041 on velenzo.org.za. We're back after this. Sunrise.